Preparing to live stream the meeting.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our American Education Week Town Hall. My apologies. We know that sometimes technology works perfectly and sometimes it needs a little extra help. So I do thank you for your patience, and I certainly must thank Mrs. Kim Monroe. Many of you know Mrs. Monroe, the awesome tech teacher at Reed's Road, as well as Mrs. Joanna Westcott, the voice to our school messenger calls that you receive and many other things that she does wonderfully for our school district. So I am going to start with a little bit of screen sharing and information tonight. But I need either Mrs. Westcott or Mrs. Monroe to let me screen share. So I'm going to keep talking while they are doing that. So some of you have participated in town hall meetings before, and others of you, this may be your very first time. And it is a pretty simple format. We are live streaming from a Zoom through our district YouTube channel. I will be sharing some updates and information with you, but then the main purpose of tonight's town hall is to give you a chance to call in. And when it is time for phone calls, I will share the number that we are using this evening for phone calls. And you will simply do that. You'll call the number and I'll take your questions and comments and respond to them to the best of my ability live here on YouTube. So I am able to share the screen. And again, this is our American Education Week virtual town hall. So I did part of this overview, and the timing of this particular town hall is both in celebration of American Education Week and the importance of the homeschool connection, as well as this Thursday marks the end of the first marking period. And so it's really the perfect time to share an update as well as get information and input from all of you. So I'm going to begin with the update. And we know that even prior to the pandemic, educating our children is the main role of our schools in our district. We also know that students need to feel safe and be in a caring, supportive environment. Well, during the pandemic, the key aspect of safety is a healthy environment. So I'm pleased to say that in terms of personal protective equipment and other supplies, prior to reopening up until now and continuing into the future, we are very fortunate to have ample supplies of all the necessary items, be it hand sanitizer, cleaning products, the desk shields, if anyone needs a mask, whatever the case may be. On a daily basis and throughout the day, our custodial staff are cleaning, disinfecting, and certainly a thorough, what some people call a deep cleaning, really happens every evening. I must say, and some of you have heard me say this before, if we've been in a one-on-one conversation, or if you're a member of one of our committees or attended a board meeting, that everyone is doing such a great job following the guidelines. I know a lot of people were worried about the children and would they be able to wear the masks and what would happen. And they're just amazing. Thank you, parents and guardians, for whatever you're doing at home to promote that. And certainly thank you to our staff as well. A key group in our district are our school nurses. And we are fortunate in Galloway to have a nurse at each school, a district nurse, and an LPN. And they are conducting really important work, keeping what is known as a line list. And this confidentially records anyone who shows symptoms, if someone travels, and certainly if someone does test positive, and all of the contact tracing that goes with that. And they have been trained in this, and they also work and collaborate with the Department of Ed. And they're doing this while doing their regular nursing duties. So hats off to them. As you know, we have had to send letters to families and staff for positive cases. And every time that happens, we'll get some change requests or phone calls or emails. And while we never want to see any positive cases, we want all our children and staff members and family members healthy. I do want to put into perspective that we have approximately 2,100 students district-wide in person and 600 approximately staff members. And to date, since the day we opened our doors on September 14th, we've had 15 cases. And, those of you that love math, you do a math problem, you don't even get close to 1% of the population. And again, we don't want anyone to be ill, but I do need to emphasize, and this has been supported by the governor, the commissioner of health for our state and our local Department of Health, that all of the efforts happening in schools with the protocols and guidelines, the models that we're using, schools really are a good place to be safe and healthy. One of the things that has also helped maintain a healthy environment are the restrictions we put in place, or the guidelines or the procedures. Our staff members do that daily health screening. Parents and guardians, you've signed and committed to doing those things each and every day before sending your child to school in person. We also are following, even when they're not required, all the travel restrictions. And I know some of that isn't popular, but we believe the combination of all of these factors are keeping us opened and healthy. Our educational models. From the beginning and through today, we have about 2/3 of our students in hybrid and 1/3 in virtual. We have had families asked to change, and those changes have gone in both directions. Some deciding they want their children or need their children to come in person, and others deciding virtual works for them. And those changes, either way, are for all different reasons: family circumstance, student needs, etc. We do have some changes ready for individual students for the start of the second marking period on November 23rd. And if you are a family that is interested in making a change, you need to complete the change request form this week. Starting next week, we will not accept changes for in-person hybrid because we need to keep our numbers where they are. And our numbers are good, and we are able to maintain that 6 feet social distancing in our classrooms. And that's really, really important. Obviously, if there's a significant family emergency or change, you can reach out to me. We will consider changes for virtual, but really trying to stabilize what model children are in as we enter second marking period and move toward winter break, which really is not that far away. I've had a small number of families contact me asking, can the children who are in hybrid all come in 4 days a week? We have allowed that for our newcomer ESL children and special ed children if their families were interested. Right now and through winter break, we are not increasing the number of days in person during a week. However, and I'll talk about this a little bit more, we are going to survey you to see if there is interest in that for consideration after winter break. So we, through winter break, plan to maintain our virtual model and our hybrid model as it stands today. Obviously, if there is an individual situation where we might need to switch a class or a school to virtual for a day or a few days, some local districts have had to do that up to 2 weeks. We will do that. And that is based on very specific circumstances, according to Department of Health guidance. And we only do that if necessary. And you may be aware that this past Friday, Reed's Road had to go all virtual, and then Monday was an all virtual day because we needed to complete some contact tracing and get some test results. And the great news was we reopened in person today. So there was only one additional all virtual day. Of course, we all watch the news, or perhaps you tune into the governor's updates. If there would be significant increase in positive cases, a move to the orange level, we would have to consider going to all virtual. But I think those of you that know me know, I believe children belong in school as long as that's where their families want them to be, and as long as we can do that safely. And again, after winter break, we will be looking at options for increasing in-person days based on family interest, staff input, and certainly health data and guidelines from the Department of Health and the state. And now to this family survey. This survey will be distributed tomorrow. It will be sent to all of you via email, and it will also be posted on our website and Facebook. You basically click on the link and there's questions to answer. Some questions are very basic demographics, like who are you? Where does your child go to school? Hybrid or virtual? Other questions are asking for input about how are things going with your child or children? What are your experiences? And then some questions related to future planning. There will also be some open-ended text boxes where you can make suggestions, offer comments, or ask questions. We do ask for one survey per family. It does say that in the directions. And it's really important that we get you to participate. We will leave that survey open for a full week. And yes, we will remind you about it. I also want to put in a plug, an advertisement for this Thursday evening at 6:30, a webinar on course. And we will include in that some information about grading and report cards, particularly with the marking period ending this week. That will feature Mrs. Betty Napoli, who is our director of curriculum for a number of content areas, one of them being instructional technology, and she is also the lead for our implementation of OnCourse. So please join us. I know how busy you are, but I really believe it will be valuable to you. Coming in December, parent-teacher conferences. Hopefully you already received this information of dates and times from your school. They will be December 3rd and 8th via Zoom. You could see that the middle school starts a little earlier than the elementary school. And I should say I see a typo as I'm speaking, so I'm going to fix that. The middle school is 1:30 to 4:30, and the elementary school is 2:30 to 5:30. On those days, they literally are early dismissal, meaning whether you are virtual or hybrid, instruction ends for the day so the teachers can have a break and then begin the conferences. Specific information regarding signups through a tool called Sign Up Genius will be shared by your school and teachers in the very near future. Again, our first ever, lots of firsts since the pandemic began, virtual parent-teacher conferences. And now it's time for you to call in. And the phone number, as you could see on the screen, is 609-748-1250, extension 1021. Please note that only one call can be taken at the time. I'm actually going to answer the phone. I will have you on speakerphone. I will repeat the question or comment and then respond to it. So if you call and it's busy or it goes to voicemail, please don't leave a message. Please just hang up and call back. Please note that there's also a delay. Remember, I'm answering the phone. It's on speakerphone. I'm going to repeat that, and then it will go live through the YouTube, and I will answer live. One of the things that's important is after you ask your question or make your comment, and you go to hear my answer, it's very helpful. If you have no more questions or comments, you either hang up or lower your volume so we don't get feedback or hear your background. So the calls are now live, and I'll wait and see if we get a phone call tonight. We certainly hope we do.
Dr. Giaquinto, while you're waiting, can you check the chat?
I sure will. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Calendar, thank you. Mrs. Monroe is giving me a very important piece of information. Being one of our tech teachers, we are not going to use Sign Up Genius for conferences. We're using something called Calendar. So very specific directions will be given to you. I know the fact that we were delayed tonight, people may not have hung in. I'm being told we have about 45 people watching live. So I do want to give a chance if anyone does want to call in. That's not a phone call. That was me checking, making sure my ringer's on. I think our delay may have slowed down the phone calls. I'm really hoping that someone who is watching live has something to share, a question, a comment. We really are interested in what you have to say. I know I saw some folks on Facebook and did put a message to them that we were delayed. Good evening. You're live on the town hall.
Good evening. I just have a quick question. In regard to the number of students who are going to be in the classroom, is it what is the limit number of students per day?
So the question is there a number of students, a limit to the number of students in a classroom? And the answer to that is by state guidelines, there is not a limit to the number of students in a classroom. The restart guidance we were given says that you should set up classrooms so students are 6 feet to the greatest extent possible. And our goal is, since the opening through now, to make sure that that 6 feet does exist. So in our classrooms, we have some very small class sizes with only 6 children right now. I believe the highest number of children in any classroom right now is 12 children at any given time. And what we did in planning for opening was there are classrooms where we took out extra furniture that we were not needed because of the pandemic and the way instruction looks right now. So although there is not a law with a guideline, we right now are keeping those limits to the number of students that can be in the room and still maintain that 6 feet distance. I hope that answered your question.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Have a great evening. Thank you. Oh, I think we had another call coming in and they hung up, so hopefully they'll call back. While I'm waiting for that call, I will comment. The guidance from the state was over 100 pages. And if you're interested, the entire restart plan for Galloway is posted on our district website. And I have had some people tell me they actually read every word of it. And I thank you because it was a lot of work. And here we have another call. Hi, you're live on the town hall.
Are you there?
I am. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Mr. Lake, excuse me. My question is about, you were talking about how we're going to possibly, when we come back from the break, have the kids in school a little bit longer. Can you kind of explain like what the parameters are for that or how that would work?
Certainly. The question is that I mentioned that after break, we're going to look at increasing the number of in-person days for our students. And so there are different ways that that can be accomplished. For example, right now, all of the children are virtual on Mondays. One idea is that on the virtual Monday, we would alternate 2 Mondays a month, the A children would come in person, and 2 Mondays a month, the B children would come in person. And so this way, that would give the children 3 in-person days and 2 virtual, instead of the opposite that exists now, 3 virtual and 2 in person. So that is one option. The other option is to invite both the A and B cohort children in 4 days a week. That sounds awesome. And that's something we would love to do. The drawback of that is then we would not be able to maintain 6 feet distance between all the children. Now, for some people, I'm okay with that. The kids have masks on. Your district purchased a desk shield, so my children are behind the desk shields. And that is true. We do have these strong protocols in place to stop the spread of the virus. And certainly if the children were closer than 6 feet, that doesn't mean if someone is positive that others are automatically going to get it. What it would mean, however, is that when we do contact tracing, we need to remember that the definition of a close contact is now closer than 6 feet for 15 or more minutes over a 24-hour period. So if a student in the classroom tested positive and was present during a certain period of time, it's a very detailed process, but any other child within 6 feet of that child would be identified as a close contact, and therefore they would have to quarantine. And so that obviously has the most serious ramification of someone else contracting COVID-19, but also has the ramification of someone having to quarantine. And so they are the two main ways we could increase the amount of in-person time. Again, half, the A kids on 2 Mondays and the B kids on 2 Mondays, or inviting the children in 4 days a week. And we are willing to explore every option. But of course, before taking those steps, doing this survey is one of the steps, gauging family interest. And there is a question exactly about that on the survey. Obviously, we want to hear feedback from staff. And I believe, like everything else, like parents, there will be different opinions. There will be different opinions about staff members as well. And certainly, we would need to look at where does the health data in Galloway, Atlantic County, our region, and the state stand at that time. So now we're in the input gathering phase, and then after winter break, we will more formally consider these options. I hope that helps. Good evening. You're live on the town hall. How are you this evening?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
My question would be, would you consider if the other options for potentially coming back do not pan out, going full day for the 2 days that the cohorts are there?
It's interesting. The question was, would we consider going a full day for the cohorts that are there? That is something we had a preliminary discussion about, and there are two obstacles, I will call them that at this point. One of them is if the children were here a full day, the children that were not here, the teacher would likely not be available to do that last hour of the day to give some synchronous instruction. The other thing we would have to factor is the timing of the buses home in light of Greater Egg Harbor Regional's dismissal time and the middle school's dismissal time. We have buses that tier between the high school and our elementary schools and the middle school and elementary schools as well. It is not an option on the survey right now. That doesn't mean that it's never an option. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely understand the busing issue, and I would be willing, and for other parents would be willing to forgo that huge minutes of face-to-face contact that the virtual learners get when they're not in school. My second courtesy request would be, I am teaching my children to log on, take their own attendance daily. With all the reminders we get for lunches and our food pickup and everything, would it be possible to maybe post what color or what day schedule we're following on the Facebook page or the school's website just so parents can see it?
So the question was about us posting the day. So were you thinking like post all virtual or A cohort in person or B cohort in person? Is that what you mean?
Like a red schedule, or like I guess if it's specific to each individual school, like I know the middle school is blue and black, and everyone.
Okay.
For parents that know, but it's got to be posted on the school because never.
Sure.
Do multiple buildings, and we'll need it as a special good.
You cut out a little bit, but I think what you're asking is, could there be a schedule posted for the school on a daily basis? And I made myself a note because some things are consistent across the district and some things do vary by school. We have emphasized with teachers about setting a schedule for the week and sticking with that schedule. I will tell you, I have an administrative meeting tomorrow, and so I'm making myself a note to see what kind of post or thing we could do, even if it is by school on a daily basis, to help draw your attention to it.
you so much.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
Take care. I will add that I do not have that fill day on the 2 in-person days as an option on the survey because of those obstacles, but I may consider adding it with a little caveat because the survey didn't go out yet. And this is one of the reasons we switched the survey from yesterday distribution to tomorrow, so that any input from the town hall might influence the final questions on the survey, as well as the opportunity to give you information before you complete the survey. Thank you to our families that have called already. We'll give it a little bit of time to see if we have any other callers tonight. While we are waiting, I will remind everyone that next week is Thanksgiving. So school is in session, regular schedule on Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, is literally an old-fashioned early dismissal day. So next Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, all instruction ends at 12:15 for the middle school and 1:15 for preschool and Reed's Road. And, I know the pandemic has brought a lot of emotion to all of us. And obviously there are those people that have lost loved ones, lost jobs. But I think we all experience different kinds of loss, and how we're celebrating the holidays is one of those. And I want you to know we're here to support the children through these experiences. And I'm going to get this phone call. Hi, you're live on the town hall.
Yeah, hi, Dr. G. This is Nicole Larson.
Hi.
I just wanted to call. Hi, how are you?
Good.
I just wanted to call because I know a lot of times you get a lot of questions and stuff, but I really just want to make a comment about you and the staff of Galloway Schools and what an amazing job that you guys are doing in such an unprecedented time. And I just wanted to give you that feedback, because anytime I've ever reached out to you or any of your staff, they've been super responsive and have given me as much information as I could possibly want or need. And I think that you guys are doing an amazing job. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Well, Mrs. Larson, I cannot thank you enough. And if anyone could not hear Mrs. Larson, she wanted to offer thanks to our entire staff for everything everyone's doing. And I know that feedback means so much to me and to everyone here in the district. I think we all know, as I was just saying, this is not easy. And many of us, I will confess, are perfectionists, are type A's, and we want everything to be just right. And it's good, but what we're doing can never replace what school is normally like. And I think we've all learned that lesson. And certainly the partnership with parents, like Ms. Larson, thank you for calling, for the other parents who have called. We need that partnership. We need to communicate, whether it is a question or a concern or a complaint or a suggestion or words of appreciation. It all matters because not one of us can do this alone. We have to work as a team. And
honestly, I think you've done such an amazing job. And if anybody says anything different, they're out of their mind. Nobody should have been put in this situation to begin with, but the way that you're handling it in our district has been phenomenal. And I mean, I've had 1,000,001 questions going forward, from like going in hybrid, going back to virtual, going back to hybrid, and you guys have handled everything that I've ever needed to question anything. You guys have responded within normally within like a half an hour to an hour, which is absolutely insane. But I really appreciate it. And I just wanted to give you that feedback. And I thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Larson. Have a wonderful evening.
Yes, you as well.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Ms. Larson just further expanded that she's had occasion to call or email and ask questions, and she appreciates the responsiveness of our staff. And again, we are not perfect, but I do believe the heart and energy and effort of every staff member here in Galloway really is in the right place. Whether we agree on every answer or decision, I think everyone really cares about the children and our families, and I think we get that back from our families as well. I live in another community. I have friends and colleagues in all different communities, and everyone is working hard. Some of you know this is my 26th year in Galloway. I was some of your principal for some of you. But Galloway really is a special place. I've never looked to go anywhere else since the day I got here. And it really is a testament to the people who've lived here a lot longer than I've worked here, as well as people who are new to our community that hopefully feel welcomed and join in. So let's see if we have any other callers this evening. But as I was saying, Thanksgiving may not look the way it normally does. And it could be for any number of reasons: unemployment, not being able to get together with people that you usually celebrate. I, for years, have done a dinner. Yes, I do cook for 18 to 20 people. It will at most be 6 of us this year. But I want you to know that our counselors and child study team members, and really everyone, we're here to support that mental health aspect for our children. And if we can't provide the help, we will get you to the person who can. Let's see if we have some other phone calls. Normally we go about an hour. If we hit 7:30 and there are still some calls, I will extend a little bit because we did start late. And we want to be fair, but let's see if anyone else is out there interested in talking to us tonight. While we are waiting to see, I'm going to do these public service announcements again. Look for the family survey tomorrow, 1 survey per family. Webinar Thursday night. Learn what you haven't figured out with OnCourse, and then parent-teacher conferences. And it's great, we have a phone call. Hi, you're live on the town hall.
Because her sibling was sick and I didn't want to take any chances of sending her to school. But since she was supposed to be in school today, she was marked absent even though she did all the online work. Is there any rules set aside for that? Because she did all the work, but she's still absent.
Certainly. The question is, let's say there is a circumstance where you need to keep your child home on an in-person day. In this instance, the sibling was sick, and just to be safe, the parent kept the other child home, but the child did all the work and participated in whatever was available. Can the child be marked present? And we have had circumstances like this. For example, we've had situations where a family member contracted COVID and the child had to quarantine even though the child wasn't ill. We allowed the child to participate and be marked present. So if you have a circumstance like this, keeping your child home for a family emergency, but they're still logging into the classroom and doing all the work, and if there's a Zoom available participating, please contact your child's office or the teacher, and they can work with you to make an appropriate attendance adjustment. I hope that helps.
Yes, thank you very much.
Have a great night.
You too. Bye.
Take care. I will do an attendance plug. Certainly, if your children are hybrid, we want them here as much as possible. But for all children on virtual days or that last hour of the hybrid non-in-person days, we really want to see the kids in those Zooms. Now, I am going to speculate that those of you who are watching this town hall, your children are probably in the Zooms, but please spread the word. The teachers really want to see them and connect with them. Obviously for the academic reasons, but for also those social, emotional, and wellness reasons. We really think those relationships between and among students and teachers are critical all the time, but especially right now. I'm going to give it a few more minutes. I have a little past 7:30 on my office clock and exactly 7:30 on my iPhone. I'm going to trust the iPhone because my office clock is battery operated. Well, I think our numbers were a little smaller, A, because it's November, and B, because we did get started a little bit late. But I do want to thank those of you who did tune in. Because this was done through YouTube and recorded, if you know someone who wanted to watch but did not get the chance to do so, they can watch the recording. And I want to wish everyone good health and an enjoyable Thanksgiving in whatever form it takes. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.